Started here. Hello and good evening, everyone. Whether you are a romance fan, a Main Street Books fan, a Kwana or a Zia fan, or a Keanu fan, you are in the right place. I'm Beth Helfrich, events manager here at Main Street Books, and I am so tickled to be launching this event tonight. I have to say, when I first saw the title of tonight's featured release, I was hooked. And I mentioned something to bookstore owner Ada. I pitched something like, it's a Keanu rom-com, like Keanu, like how people are totally obsessed with him. And she was like, is that a thing?
Did she say that? Is that
she
a thing?
did. And I was like, yes,
yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Totally a thing. So to be fair, his career is a little bit hard to track and hard to understand.
True.
And his success and his lifestyle equally mysterious. But I think at the end of the day, people cling to the idea of Keanu just like they cling to the idea of happily ever afters. And so
I like that.
We are so lucky to have a delightful new book that gives us the best of both of those fantasies. And it also has a dose of real life with all its messiness and tenderness underpinning the whole thing. So I'm delighted to introduce to you all the author behind this fun read. First, though, our brilliant conversation partner, Zio Axelrod. Hi, Zio.
Hello.
Zio is a USA Today best-selling author who writes different flavors of contemporary fiction, romance, and what she likes to call strange, twisted tales. Her bio is worth looking up, I promise you. But in a nutshell, she is a lifelong performer who grew up in the recording industry. She is a pop music and pop culture sponge. She is a diehard fan of a Norwegian teen drama series. And she's a singer-songwriter who performs under a different, not-so-secret name. Her most recent book is The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes, and her next, The Girl with Rhythm in Her Heart, will be out. Yeah, there it is. Will be out in March of 2022. Welcome, Zio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And our featured guest tonight, K.M. Jackson, who is also known as Kwana. Hi, Kwana.
Hi there.
Kwana is a native New Yorker, which means that she spent her formative years on the A train.
Very true. Lots of years on the A train.
Oh, good. And if you had asked her growing up what she wanted to be, she would have said a fashion designer and a writer. And she's either very consistent or very brave, or maybe a little bit of both, because after a decade long,
I would say stubborn
maybe she's stubborn.
Yes.
After a decade long career in the fashion industry, she leapt ship and picked up a pen or a keyboard instead. She put down the scissors and started writing, and she's now a USA Today bestseller. Her self-published novel Bounce won a Golden Leaf for Best Novel with Strong Romance Elements from the New Jersey chapter of Romance Writers of America. She was also named Author of the Year by the New York chapter of Romance Writers of America. She's been tapped by Oprah Magazine, Shondaland, and NPR for their best romance lists. Her last book was Real Men Knit, and this is her latest. She now lives in New York with her husband, and she's got grown twins. And now I'm going to stop talking because these two are going to have the most entertaining conversation, and I'm so excited to be here for it. Welcome.
Thank you so
much.
Thank
you. First of all, congratulations on launching Keanu Week.
Thank you. Launching Keanu Week. I feel like I'm probably not the first person to launch Keanu Week. I bet you there are Keanu Weeks all over the world.
It's officially yours now. I'm just giving it to you.
They're private ones.
I'm giving it to you now. Officially belongs to you. So there you go. But I know you've probably told this story a million times since you started promo for this book, but how did the idea come about for anyone who doesn't know? I know, but tell them how tell them how you got this idea.
There are probably some people who were there for the inception. There are probably friends who were there for the inception. But quickly, I saw a tweet. You know me. You're my friend. You know me, and you know how much time I might spend on Twitter. A lot. Unfortunately, my editors and my agent probably knows too. Maybe a little too much. But I was doing what I do, probably procrastinating on Twitter, and I saw a tweet go by that said the next Matrix and the next John Wick were slated to come out on the same day. This was pre-pandemic, like right before everything was about to happen.
Right.
And when I saw it, I said, note to self. And as I'm saying note to self in my head, I'm tweeting it at the same time because I do things like that, which is probably not the smartest thing to do. But I said, note to self, don't bring out your next book on Keanu Day unless it's that How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days rom-com. And that I actually said those exact things on Twitter in my head and hit send. And when I did that, I was like, oh, because immediately people said, I'd read that.
We were all like, yes, please. Start writing that right now.
I was like, I might have done something.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it happened. Once I did it, I was like, oh, shoot. And the idea stuck with me for the day, and the tweet kept going a little bit. I spoke to my mother the next day with our usual phone call, and she sort of solidified, you get these little signs from the universe. And I said, oh, I did kind of a thing. My mother and I talk about writing, but sort of very vaguely. She's my biggest cheerleader, and she really is. She will talk to everybody in New York knows about my writing career, because everybody on her bus line, everybody at her job knows about it. But I don't know if she's really read my books. I don't think she has, but everybody knows. Like my mother, there's my big claim to fame is my mother seeing Bill Clinton and James Patterson, and telling James Patterson, she's like, and that's her favorite author. She loves thrillers. She loves James Patterson, but pretty much saying to James Patterson straight to his face, she's like, what's the big deal? My daughter's an author too, like, so what?
I love your mom.
And saying the same thing to President Clinton. Like, I'm trying to catch her. It's just like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Mr. President. It's just my mom.
But wait, didn't she hand them your book, and was like, take pictures?
I have pictures. I love it. Of them holding my book, because my mother's like, and so what? So when I said this to my mother, she's like, I said, oh, it's just this thing about, I had this idea about Keanu. And so my mother says, oh, I was just watching him last night on the Netflix. You know how much I love him. And she says,
on the Netflix.
The Netflix. And she really does. She's his biggest fan. So I spoke with her. Then I spoke with my daughter, and my daughter's like, oh, he's just so hot. This is the age range of Keanu's reach. My daughter's like, he's so hot, he's this and that. And I was like, okay, pipe it down, sister. I get it. He's hot. And then I spoke to a good friend of mine, and she's like, oh, Keanu. And I was like, wow, that's it.
Yeah.
So I talked to my agent, and I said, I think I might have done a thing. And my agent sort of scolded me a little bit. He's like, what have I told you about shouting out your ideas in public?
Right.
He's like, now you need to write me up something. I said, I can't. He's like, I don't have time. He's like, make time. So I did, and he sold it fairly quickly because I guess it was a decent idea. So that's how it came about.
And you already had buzz. It had like built-in buzz.
It did. It already had built-in buzz. Plus it had my mother's stamp of approval on it. And that was that.
That's the cool thing. One of the cool things about putting your idea out in the universe, when it catches on like that and gets a lot of feedback, you can always point back to that tweet and say, well, I had this idea first, somebody tried to jump on it.
I did send with the proposal. I did send my tweet with the proposal to my agent. I was like, and here's the tweet.
That's awesome.
Like, send me that too.
Social media is good for some things. Yes.
I guess if he wasn't going to sell it, my mother would.
Oh my God. Your mom should go into book PR. She
really could. There is on my TikTok. There's one of my TikToks is her yelling about how Keanu, I love you, and I'm not just a passing fan. I'm an original OG, and so she's clearly flirting with him on my TikTok.
Okay, so I know you did a lot of research watching Keanu's films for the book, but I wanted to know, what was your first Keanu film? Like, what was the first movie you saw him in?
I think. It's hard to pin down the first, because I feel like they all sort of meld together in the back of my mind, and he's done like so much early work. I remember and loved him from Dangerous Liaisons.
Oh wow, I forgot he was in that.
No, I did not.
Wow. Now I have to rethink.
I did not.
I thought my first one was Much Ado About Nothing.
And he's so smoldering hot and Much Ado About
Yes, he is. He
so
just
smoldering.
He just smolders the entire film. The entire film. That's all he does. That's all he has.
That's all he does, and he does it so well. He does it so well, and that one, wasn't a hardship. That movie's never a hardship. That whole cast.
No, I love the cast.
So beautiful, and I did a rewatch of that. And
did you?
Yes, I rewatched that as research because yes, it was research. I loved him in that, and Speed is one of my top all time. I will never not watch Speed. I
saw that 3 times in the movie theater. I just snuck in as a kid, and watched that film. I don't know what was, because it's a fun movie, but I don't know what it was that made me watch it because I've never seen any other film that many times except for Rocky Horror, but that's a whole different story.
You know what? You and I are just meant to be. I used to go down to A Street Playhouse and watch and see Rocky Horror.
Oh my God, that was like the dream.
The midnight show of Rocky Horror. Yeah.
In Philly, I'm in Philly, guys, but in Philly it was TLA on South Street, which was like our version of that. So it's smaller and less cool. But that was like
we're not going to say that. But yes, I used to go.
No, I'm talking about the theater, not the city. But the theater. Yeah. So much fun. But yeah,
I think Speed is him, but it's also the pacing of Speed is one of those things that make you. He's of course a huge draw on that, but it was such a well done movie. The pacing, the banter.
The chemistry.
He's very stoic in Speed, but he's also very funny in Speed. Yeah, and he's got a lot of funny lines in it. So I think that kind of grabs you too. So yeah,
I think he is one of those actors who people who make fun of him or want to like poke fun of him say that he's just playing the same sort of character and everything, but he's not. His acting is very subtle. It's very subtle. His
acting is very subtle. I can be a defender of that, and I feel like I can be a defender more after writing the story and studying his work a little bit more. You've got to look a little deeper, and he does have layers to it, but it just comes out very softly.
I think that's what do you think Lou loves the most about him?
I think Lou loves the fact that for Lou, he not to give too much away, but he's sort of that steady, and I feel this is the way the way I see Keanu, but the way maybe a lot of people see Keanu, he's sort of that steady person there for her. That steady. The idea of him is very steady. Like when I've talked to people about Keanu, the roles he's taken. I mean, some of them are heroic, but a lot of them they're very violent. They're not always these lovely, great roles. They're not characters that you would, really fall in love with or cheer for. I would love it if they gave him, maybe even more romantic roles or sexier roles or something like that. But there's just always this little bit of, even if they're violent or even if they're not the most endearing, there's something steady about him. Something you can rely on that's there. There's always a little bit of reliability. And I think that's what Lou sort of hangs her hat on, He's the one that you can always rely on.
Yeah, his characters always seem like
he's the one you can rely on. He's the one you can rely on.
Because he's like the dark hero, right?
He's the dark hero.
His characters always seem to have that one thing that they care about. Like it's like the I will burn down the world to save this one thing. In John Wick, it's the dog. You know what I mean? Or like whatever. And like in the Matrix, he's got it. There's always something.
The Matrix is the world, but maybe it's not the world. We will see.
Yeah.
I have a little theory about the Matrix that maybe it's a love story in the end. After looking at the trailer, I could be completely wrong.
I don't think you are. Okay.
I feel it's all maybe him and Trinity, and she is the.
That could be the romance author in us, but
it could be. But I don't know. I feel like they're two people, honestly, at the core. I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent now.
Someone in the chat said that Bill and Ted was their first, and I thought that was my first, but I didn't see Bill and Ted till much later.
Same here. I saw Bill and Ted much later too. That was an add-on for me, and it was really fun and really cute. I do remember him in Parenthood.
Earlier. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've seen
because he was a small.
My mom loved
that
movie
on me. But no, my first thing was Paula Abdul's Brush Rush video. I think that was my first, but it wasn't a movie. But that was my first. Who is this gorgeous, fine man?
Yeah. Oh, someone did mention "Always Be My Maybe," which is his, I guess, most recent rom-com or whatever. I love that he can poke fun at his own image.
Yes.
As he does in that. And it's just so fabulous. And also I was listening to the other day when your book came out, I put on the Hello Peril song that's from there. I punched Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
It's so much fun. It's such a silly song, but it's like really catchy.
I punched out Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. It's just fun. That's such a fun movie. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. But
so much fun.
But yeah, someone said Point Break.
Someone talks about Point Break. Point Break is such a good movie.
How dare they remake that film? How dare they? Look, your lips got really tight. Yeah, we won't even pretend that it doesn't exist. Right? Okay.
I don't know how they're going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things don't need to be redone, but okay.
No, that's true. I mean, if you're going to do like a twist on it, or like I don't know,
twist on it,
but just to do like the straight film again. For what if it's a question of like special effects or something like that, or you want to, like, you know what I mean, like Dune, we just saw Dune, which is unbelievable.
I haven't seen it yet.
The 80s version was very like campy and cheesy, and they wanted to do like give it the grand treatment, and they did, so I could see that, because the technology is caught up or whatever. But if you're just gonna like do the same film with new people,
I wonder what they're gonna do and how they're gonna do it. They better do it. They better do it well. I mean, I can be consulted. I have suggestions. I mean, there are some fabulous female surfers. I'm just saying.
That would be cool. They won't do it, but it would be cool.
There's one Black female surfer that I'm obsessed with following on Instagram. She's an amazing surfer.
What is her name?
I have to find her name.
I can't think of her name.
It starts with M. I want to say if I say Nicole, it's wrong, but she is fantastic, and she does championship surfing, and she's just, I mean, I could see her as the Patrick Swayze lead character of the whole thing. What I'm hearing
is that you need to write this book that's kind of like Point Break with this Black female surfer
as the lead. Yes, you've got to change it. Yeah,
there you
go.
But
they've got to do something with the technology. You're not going to go in and just rob banks in this day and age with a mask. It's not going to work.
Use the Mission Impossible technology where they just put the little chip on and it like changes their whole face and voice and everything.
Okay, you and I are now doing. We're now the new screenwriters.
There you go.
You heard it here first, everyone.
There you go. Okay, switching gears a little bit, I want to know the best road trip that you've taken, because the road trip that Lou and True take is like, first of all, it's made for the screen. You guys, if you haven't read this book yet, it's like watching images on the page. It's amazing.
Can we get all the cameos, please?
Yes, it has to. They have to. Whoever does this film or TV series, because it's going to happen.
That out in the universe. I appreciate that.
It's there. Every cameo, they're going to want to be in it. That's the thing that's really cool about this. They're going to want to be in it because it's such a celebration of who these people are. And I won't spoil who the people are.
I appreciate that. I'm hoping that, if it does get into any of the celebrities who make cameos hands somehow, that they don't think, what did this person do? But they see it as the celebration that I try to make it, a celebration of them and of the fans who love them.
Yeah.
But best road trip that I've ever taken. My husband and I've been married a long time. Now I'm going to give my age. 32. I've been married 32 years. So
wow, congratulations.
Long time. I'm like, just did like that. Then my neck just said, for an old habit. But I'm from New York. He's from Savannah. So we always drive. We rarely ever take a plane. What do we do? Mm-hmm. We're always driving from New York to Savannah, or seeing family somewhere. So we're always just getting in the car, and he's the getting up at butt crack of whatever darkness to get in the car. But I have to say, and I'm gonna get smushy now and corny a little bit into my life, and he's not watching it, so he doesn't know, but he knows I said this. I talk to my kids about relationships. I have twins, a boy and a girl, and we were talking about something like, they're 20 something now, 27. 20 something, like I forgot their age, 27. But I was just talking about relationships and feeling safe with somebody and with people. And I said, I've always felt I always feel like with daddy, my daughter was saying, with dating with guys, you just be taken somewhere. And I said, my husband and I started out as friends. We've always been friends. And I said, I've always felt with your dad, whenever I could get into the car, fall asleep, and even when we were dating, I can get into the car, fall asleep, and wake up anywhere, and not know where I'm at, but feel fine.
Yeah,
feel safe wherever I wake up, and it's an okay feeling. So I guess if you find somebody like that, you probably found the right person. You're not like, wherever I'm at, it's going to be okay. I don't feel like, and that's
Lou.
probably a rare and hard thing. I've always felt that way. But our road trips are kind of like not going anywhere really different or special, but it's always fun because I guess early on we learn about each other on these road trips. We started out, this is dating ourselves. He's rock. He's a very he loved rock, and I would I love, I like K-pop, but I love Prince and things like that. So but we both like hip hop and things. So we would start out listening to like Public Enemy and Pink Floyd and things like that. So that's how we got to know each other, through music and road trips and things like that. Yeah. And just riding from New York to Georgia. And that's just always been our thing and what we enjoyed. And over the years, it was just he and I. And then it turned into suddenly it was two babies on the trips. And, then it was, the road trips were a little bit more chaotic with these kids in the back and stuff. So that's just been our thing in our lives. So that's the road trips.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's good. Music
not
is
wacky or fun like Lou and True's. No, no antics like that. But it was what it was.
But it's interesting you said like Lou she trusts True so much. Yeah. And like the entire book, you're just like, open your eyes. He's right there. Because he's such a wonderful character. They're both wonderful characters, but he's just like my hero, my cinnamon roll hero of the year kind of guy. He's just amazing. Yeah, I love him so much. But getting to know each other through music, I mean, that's my thing. Music is my whole thing. And I think you do learn a lot about someone through the music that you even if people who listen to country or they listen to whatever classical and that's all they listen to. And you're like, well, why is this one thing that draws you? Like, tell me what it is about this that's so, you know what I mean? Like, always
and it's okay to have different tastes, but to be able to learn why that person enjoys that, I think is special, and to respect that. Like, my husband's like, big, like into, a huge Pink Floyd fan, or, Led Zeppelin and things like that. And I didn't know anything about that, but I love that he loves that and that it's different. And, he would talk about being, the only Black guy at the concert hall in Savannah, Georgia,
that would be me.
And it just gives him different layers. And the fact that we're so different, we're like the most opposite people, but that's fine. Yeah. That's great, Yeah. And I think Lou and True are very like that, but they don't judge each other for their differences.
Exactly. Yeah.
They accept them and say, well, this is just how this person that I care about is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, well, I know you really, Keanu means a lot to you. It's not, oh my gosh, how could you possibly, you know what I mean? He doesn't belittle her passion, which I love. But
that was important to me, to have a person that didn't put her down for her feelings, and didn't want to change her for that, and knew that she was like this, and okay, this is her, and she's going to be this way. I would like to go with her on this journey to protect her in some ways, but why judge her for that?
Yeah.
If it makes her happy, it makes her happy.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to your husband. I grew up, my father wrote a lot of R&B and soul for a lot of 70s soul artists and stuff. And my family's been in music, forever. So I was like 12 years old or so when I even discovered rock music. And I was like, what is this wonderful thing that you've been keeping from me? And I just went down that, so I go to the shows and I'm one of like 3 people with dark skin, you know what I mean, in the venue. And it's like, and you think like, okay, am I okay here? You know what I mean? Or whatever. But music is just one of those universal languages. So I love that.
It is.
I love hearing that.
It's all about the feeling that it gives you. I was the girl who, was the girl from Harlem who loved Wham. You weren't going to tell me different. I had a life-size poster of Debbie Harry on my walls, Prince on one wall, Debbie Harry on the other wall.
I love it. Oh, such a great decade. Oh my God. I want to know how did you discover BTS? Because I am still a BTS newbie. I've heard a few of their songs. I know, I was really excited when they, played the Grammys and stuff like that. Like I get really excited when I see them do anything in the US because I love that they're sort of like crossing all those lines and coming over here. But I don't listen to them the way you do. Like when you got you and like Christina Lauren and you guys talk about them on Twitter, and you just get so excited when they go on tour and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. Like, your joy is so palpable that I just sit there and go like, I hope you get tickets. I hope you get to go. So when you went to the show, I was totally like living through you for that. That was amazing. But how did you find them?
I don't know how I first discovered BTS. It must have been through YouTube. What was I following? I don't know what I was following. It was something that came up on YouTube, and it was years ago. Maybe a reactor or something. And I just saw a video once, and I was hooked for one of their old songs. And I was like, what is this? And the music first of all, their look got me. And it might be, this probably goes back to the 80s girl in me. This probably goes back to my love of Prince, my love of Adam Ant, and that kind of thing. Something about them just draw, my love of Billy Idol, just that whole kind of, and it just, that sort of just joyous kind of music, the dance, everything just got me right away. And I couldn't understand what they were saying, but I was in for it. I was in for the visuals. I'm a very visual person. So one video led to another, and I was just hooked. That was it for me. And I probably just binged. So I binged their dance practices, their everything. I wanted to know it all. I wanted to know the history. And that was it for me. And I went from BTS to GOT7, and those are my two stand groups. Where are my light sticks? You can see.
Yeah, where are your
light sticks that I bought as props here for my concerts.
That's so cool.
And it's like, I wanted to know the history. I got my daughter into BTS, and she's into BTS.
I love that you got your daughter into BTS.
I know. People are like, how do you get?
Someone said that it's the range with all their middle schoolers. I'm like, the age range of people who love BTS is like,
it's incredible.
Why? Yeah, it's
incredible. Amazing. And sometimes I'm like, you didn't watch the new video yet? What is your problem? You're embarrassing me now. So, my kid, I try to raise you right, and the video's dropping at 5 a.m. and you're sleeping in. I don't understand you. She's like, Mom, I got to go to work. It's so fun.
Are you one of those people, when you fall in love with something, you want to know everything about it? Like you were saying that when you found BTS, you looked at their like rehearsal videos and stuff. And I know Lou knows everything about Keanu. Like, are you one of those people too? Because it doesn't happen often, but when I do latch on to something, I go way down, like to the bottom of that rabbit hole as far as it goes, to find everything I can.
Pretty much. I am pretty much. So I don't want to just love everything in the world. So it's like, I've limited to BTS, GOT7, and I like to think I've got pretty good taste. So I, have stellar groups. GOT7 is pretty much it. And I'll choose like one or two in the group to really love.
Okay.
Yeah. But there are other groups that I like too. There are other groups that I like and I think are great in other songs, but I'm kind of discerning.
Have you studied any Korean?
I have tried, and I have lessons that I should be taking, but I also have books to write. But I'm very bad with languages. I'm so bad with languages. Yes.
I started studying Norwegian because of the Norwegian show that I love that has been off the air now for 4 years, but I'm still studying Norwegian. And that's as far down the rabbit holes I've gone for that particular fandom. Is just learning it.
You're studying it.
Learning
I'm studying it. I really do want to learn. My husband's like, well, at this point you should be fluent because all you watch is Korean dramas. Maybe I know more than I think, but
you probably do. You probably do know more. I listen to a lot of Norwegian hip hop, and I watch Norwegian news and stuff like that. Especially during the pandemic, we were all shut in the house. I was like watching Norwegian news every night and going, I actually understand what they're saying. So you'd be surprised how much you know. That's cool. So I'm curious though. We won't say whether or not Lou fulfills her dream of Keanu, but what would you say to Keanu when you get to meet him, because you will, because this book's going to be on screen. So what will you say? I don't know.
I have no clue. I would royally mess everything up. I know I will. Will you freeze? I would freeze so badly. In my head, I think I'm so cool. Like, I tell my friends I have this fantasy, and I've had this fantasy for the past year and a little bit more, that I've been writing this book. I wrote this book for the past year and a half. I also did edits on the second Real Men Knit book.
I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. And it's no secret the second Real Men Knit book is about Lucas, the firefighter. And in my lovely imaginings, the firefighter Lucas is modeled after JB from Got7. This is how I do things. Okay. And across from me, I'll just grab it. Across from me, there's JB, my little picture of JB, for inspiration. So in my head, there's a thing for Saint Laurent.
I had a picture of her because she was the inspiration for Tony in The Girl with Stars. And I had it here for the longest time.
Perfect inspiration for her is perfect. I can see her so well now.
Willow Smith was young Tony, and her was adult Tony.
That is perfect.
Somebody just spied your Keanu pillow behind you. Yes, it is a Keanu pillow behind her.
He's
smoldering over her shoulder.
He was so good.
Yeah.
I'm so visual, and I can see that you're visual too now. I have the Pinterest board and all that. So I have made boards of all my guys, and there's a fantastic picture from a Saint Laurent fashion show where they hired JB from Got7 to be a spokesperson, and Keanu is also a Saint Laurent spokesperson, and they actually met.
Oh wow! See,
the wackiest thing, they met, and so there's a picture of them together, and I was I cannot believe this is my year. I have a picture of them together, and I'm writing about
telling you the universe is lining things up for you there. Lining things up. Okay, so we've got 2 questions in the chat. One of them is, what is the hardest thing for you about being a writer, and what routines work best for you?
The hardest thing about me for being a writer is writing the words.
Right?
That is honestly the hardest thing. It really is. The writing is, and I can't sugarcoat it. I refuse. Well, I can sugarcoat it, and I can lie and say it's magical and all that, but I will not. I refuse to do that. The hardest thing is actually the writing of the words. I'm one of those people who, unfortunately, I second guess myself a little too much and say, "Oh, it's horrible," blah, 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 and just getting the words out. And it's always that first word, getting that first word on the page of the day.
First chapters. First chapters are like, I can rewrite that.
The very first chapters are easiest, but it's sort of the first word every day. You know what I mean? It's like I can stare all day. To look. And then it's hours later, and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah.
But finally, when you find a flow, it feels fantastic. It's great when you find a little bit of a flow. But it's just finding the words. But when you find them, they're wonderful. So I'm a huge procrastinator, but that's only my own fear that does that.
Yeah,
so
I'm the same.
The ideas are great. The ideas sort of come and they're fantastic. But it's just No,
I'm the same. I mean, when I met with Source Books about doing the Lily series, it was just a proposal. Like they were like, what do you have? And I was like, well, I have this idea for an all-girl rock band, 4 books, and here they are.
I'm so glad you did.
And they were like, cool, yeah, we'll take them. And I was like, oh, I don't have any actual books. So now I have to write these books, so like the ideas are great. There are tons of ideas, but now you have to actually like execute
That's
them.
How I feel every time. It's like, well, why did I even say that? Now I have to do it. Now I have to write the words. I love the ideas. And it's the end is fantastic, but it's that middle actual execution is the hard thing. My routine is, my brain doesn't start working until later in the afternoon, very late in the afternoon. I'm an insomniac, so I don't get I say I should start writing early. That's not true.
I've tried. Only when I'm on like right up against the deadline can I just like do the 6 a.m. thing. But otherwise,
I don't even know that time.
What is that time? It's not happening. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't really have a routine either. I mean, I guess I'm a fast drafter. I don't know if you are a fast drafter, but
I am a fast drafter only because I'm always behind the clock.
Right? Yeah. Do you
I am a fast drafter,
wait until you're running out of time? Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I think it helps me because if I overthink too much, I will get bored with the story. So it's better for me to write fast. It's better to get I think to get as many words down as quickly as possible. So if you have words, you can edit the words.
Yes, exactly. You can't edit what you don't write, right?
Exactly. That is the golden rule, I think, of writing. You can't edit what you don't write. So get the words down.
Yeah. Are you a plotter or a pantser? And for those who don't know, a pantser is just someone who just sits down and writes without any sort of like direction.
I am a little bit of both. I used to be a pantser all the way, but I have to plot somewhat because in order to get a contract, you have to have a synopsis. So you have to have something. And my synopsis are usually as loose as they can possibly be because I don't see everything. And if I see too much, I'm bored with the story and I don't really want to write it.
We were like
if I
totally
overplot it, I'm feeling like I've thought it out too much and I'm kind of bored with it and I don't have the excitement in my heart to do it. And I like to see where my characters take me. My characters always take me to a different location. I know they're going to take me to the end that I said in the beginning in certain spots, but they're definitely going to take me on a different journey. So I like to make my synopsis as loose as I can possibly get away with. And that's what I give. And the way I actually I plan is mostly on Post-its. I do scenes on Post-its because I just like to have big visualization behind me. So I do lots and lots of Post-its and I can move them around, which I enjoy. Right. So I do a whole lot of Post-its and play with those a lot. So I plot and I replot and I plot and I replot and I plot and replot as I go. Yeah.
I think I'm the same. Like I can't even write a synopsis because once I write like how things end, like the story is finished for me. So now what am I doing? You know,
you're so, like, I'm done.
I keep it. Yeah, exactly. So I keep it.
You're like, here's this leaflet for you to sell. Thank you.
Here you go. Pick a cover. Yeah.
Pick a cover. Pick a cover. You fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Okay,
well, you wrote a very hefty book. You did good. I'm surprised that you did.
Yeah, that's a fat book.
That's amazing.
She's thick.
It seemed very well plotted to me. I loved it.
Well, that's a little different because it's such a big universe. So I had to spend a lot of time, and I'm still building out the universe.
Building the world,
Yeah, because you got the band and the people who support the band and their families and their fans. And, you know, so it's getting bigger as the books go on. By the time I get to the fourth book, I have to start writing my series Bible now. Because by the time I get to the fourth book, I won't remember like some of the stuff that I'm setting up now that I might want to bring back in. You know,
that's something I probably should do. I've never done that. I really should because
I've never had
big worlds, and I tend to forget.
Right? Yeah.
Where things are.
Yeah. Unless you get those fans who know every little detail of the book, and you can be like, "Hey, fans, what was your favorite part about whatever?" And then they tell you, and you don't have to keep a series Bible. They just know it for you.
You know, you're in the wrong town here, and this is over on the east. And
I had someone to tell me that. They're like, there are no 70-story buildings in that part of Philadelphia. I'm like, I know, it's fantasy. Like I can write, it's fiction. I can write
it's fantasy-delphia. Thank you.
Exactly. Somebody had a question. They've been trying to picture Lou and True in their head. Who was your inspiration, or who would you fan cast as them?
Well, my initial, and I don't want to put it in the box because, you know, in case movies are made, we will see. My original inspiration was Rachel True, is who was on my Pinterest board. Rachel True from The Craft.
Oh yeah.
Remember Rachel True? I think I just something about her just sort of has this energy of Lou. Yeah. And for True, I have, and people, unless they saw my board, they wouldn't expect this, but I just love him so much. Alfred Enoch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We know Alfred Enoch from How to Get Away with Murder.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I just love, he's tall. He sort of has a little bit of a kind of professor-ish kind of way about him. Slim, and I just think he's dreamy.
Yeah, hot professor vibes, someone said. Yes.
He's got hot professor vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so casting directors out there, you hear what she's saying?
That's who I had. And I also think, somebody funny could also do it, like a Tiffany Haddish, or we can go in that direction. Oh, what's her name? She played opposite Tiffany Haddish, and she's so funny, and I love her. I'm going to think of it. I'm going to think of it, and I'll come back to it.
Okay.
I'm going to look on my Pinterest board on my other thing, and that's what's going to come up. She can do it too. There's quite a few people who can do it.
Yeah.
Who can play funny and serious, who could also play, you know.
So I want to switch gears a little bit because you did like I don't know about every author's dream, but definitely one of my dreams is that you were at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
as like a professional fangirl. Like what? So what was that experience?
That was so much
like?
fun.
Yeah, I imagine.
That was fun. It was I couldn't, well, it was a dream because I was like, I'm at Comic-Con, what am I doing at Comic-Con? What? But the people who came to the panel were really wonderful and welcoming to romance authors, which I loved, and that was exciting. It was fun for me because I just as you can tell, I love fandoms, so I enjoyed seeing people in costumes and having fun, and that was great. And I'm a huge K-drama fan, so we talked about that a lot, and I think that helped me a lot. So it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. People seemed to really resonate with the whole idea of Keanu, and somebody going on this quest for Keanu. They weren't like,
they could totally relate. Yeah,
they could relate. They weren't like that's odd. They were like, I get that, and I understand it. It didn't seem stalkerish. So that's good. And so it was great. I had so much fun. I will definitely be going back with a book or without a book. I can see myself going every year.
Going. Oh, that's cool.
Just going. It was fun to see people, like we talked for a second earlier, doing different things with their masks, but also people out and just being joyful.
Yeah, just like celebrating their passions.
Celebrating, doing what they love to do, having fun, being joyful for a bit, because we haven't seen people just being joyful for a while. Yeah. And it was great. It was so nice. And, there were families, there were like Star Wars families with little babies. And I was like, I was so happy. It was a happy afternoon. I really loved it. I loved it.
Did you get to go to any of the other panels or anything while you were there?
I didn't get to go to the other panels, but I just walked around a lot. I walked around, took a lot of pictures. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was
somebody had a comment. They said that other students are in the process of having to reimagine a story that's familiar. Oh, I love it. That better represents, reflects their own experiences and heritage. Some are having fun and writing lots. Some are struggling to get ideas on paper. Any other recommendations for young writers?
Recommendations for young.
Well, I got started in fan fiction. Yeah, I got my start. Yeah, I wrote Buffy fan fiction, and fanfic, sometimes gets sort of poo-pooed on, but I think it's really a great educational system because you've got a world already built, you've got characters already created, and all you have to do is come up with stories and use those archetypes in your stories, and it helps you learn storytelling, beginning, middle, end, the whole thing, especially with episodic television shows, because there's a story, you know what I mean, like it's just neatly tied off with a bow usually at the end.
That's a good idea.
So I started doing that. And then eventually I was writing, with Buffy, I made them human. So I was writing original stories with human, and they just had the character personalities. And then eventually I left the world completely. But it was a great sort of sandbox to play in when you're just learning how to create, how to tell stories. So that's always my recommendation for someone who's just starting out. Like, find a property that you love, a book, a film, whatever it is, and rewrite a scene or write your own version or write a sequel or whatever it is, and just sort of like get your feet wet that way.
That's a good idea. Now you just reminded me. I did write or try to write. Now, oh my goodness, I am really dating myself. Remember the True Confessions?
True Confession.
Back in the day, those True Confessions magazines and stuff. I used to write those stories.
Oh.
And rewrite those stories.
Okay.
Those were my practice love stories that I used to rewrite. Yes. Yeah. I did those. But always for me was just read more. I feel like I'd learned, be a fan of it. I don't know, there was some scuttlebutt going around, but I didn't look deep into it because I was like, I don't need scuttlebutt. But, if you're gonna write something, be a fan of it, and read more. The more I read, the more I learn. I feel like I learn with every book that I read.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just me about the writing process,
Yeah.
Some of it's like, I gotta get better, and that's good. Getting better and learning is part of it. I learn more the more I write, the more I learn, but the more I read, the more I learn.
Yeah. I don't know any writer at any level in the business who isn't still learning, who's like, oh, I've learned everything out, I don't
know
anyone
fantastic.
like that.
Oh, I'm so wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know anyone like that. Even like the most successful
once you get to there, I don't know. I think it's time to hang it up because you are just repeating yourself and you're boring.
Seriously, yeah. I think one of the worst pieces of writing advice I ever got was someone told me not to read in my genre because it would influence my voice or whatever. And I was like, that's a horrible piece of advice. Like, you have to read in your genre because one, you learn what works, you learn what you like, and you also learn what the reader expectations are of that genre.
Yeah. I think there are some writers who do that. I mean, I wouldn't want to read the exact same thing I'm writing.
Right.
Don't read a Keanu fanfic right now while you're writing it. No, that's not the right thing to do. But of course, read in your genre. Why not? Read in your genre, read outside your genre, just
absolutely
definitely read. But you should read in your genre to see what's happening and what's out there. And you can't just stay in your own head and rely only on your head and your voice to see what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
That might not be the best idea.
Someone asked what we're reading right now. What are you reading right now?
What are we reading right now? Well, speaking of Comic-Con, I finished the Love Con, the Love Con by Ceresia Glass.
Oh yeah.
It comes out in December. I loved it. So everybody put that on. I think you can pre-order it now. You should just go ahead and grab that book right now, The Love Con by Ceresia Glass. It is so fantastic. It's about a cosplay competition. It's got a cinnamon roll. Speaking of cinnamon roll heroes, it's just so fantastic. I adored it. So
that's right up my alley. Okay.
It's so good. And when I went to Comic-Con, I wrote, I was like, you need to be here. You definitely see you at the next Comic-Con. What I said. So that's a great one. Yeah.
Cool.
And also Fake It Till You Bake It, which comes out a little later by Jamie Wesley. I get lucky us authors. Sometimes we get to read things a little early. So that you can also you
get arcs that I want. I get different arcs. Different arcs. Well, I was so excited to get yours because I was like, ever since the tweet, I was like, okay, how can I finagle one? How can I get one? I'm just about to start Never Been Kissed by Timothy Jankowski. It's his debut.
Oh, cool.
And it is a queer romance. It's like, he's inspired by the Drew Barrymore film. So I cannot wait.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Right? It's just so adorable. So I cannot wait to jump in there. But I'm going to move my book. Oh no, it's up here next to yours. I just got In Every Mirror She's Black.
Oh.
Which first of all, this cover
I want to read that.
Is just lovely. But Lola Akinmade Akostrom, this sounds amazing. So I cannot wait to dive into this. But it just came out like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and I also just got an arc of Christopher Rice's first queer romance. Ooh. Yeah, so I'm set.
Lucky.
I'm set. When I finish my revisions, she laughs.
I'm sorry. You were on it. I am excited for you. As I'm gonna let everybody admire my mug for a second. Keanu mug. See, I have my Good Vibes shirt on. It says Good Vibes on my shirt. Which is about as Keanu as I've gotten today. Figured, like chilling out like Keanu does, Good vibes only.
Good vibes only.
Where did I hear that? Oh, sorry. This now. I just threw in I just said, where did I hear that? I did. I'm just hitting myself in the head. Sorry, everybody. Kwana had a moment. I did a Real Housewives of Potomac on Saturday binge watch. So that's where I heard. That's where I kept hearing Good Vibes Only. So,
gotcha.
Welcome to my head, everybody. I hope it was fun.
Your head is awesome. And thank you. I have to thank you personally for all the support you gave me, or you give me, for The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes. Because you were such a cheerleader for this book.
Because I loved this book. If anybody is here and has not picked it up yet, pick it up. When I tell you, I cannot wait for the next one. But before the next one comes out, pick this up. This love story, not just a love story, but I love the love story. But I just love the whole world. I want to be like this. Just okay. Don't hate me for this, okay. But this just took me to my whole like wanna be a rock and roll girl fantasy vibes. Mm-hmm. But I have not a lick of talent. But but it took me there, and I just I'm a fan of the Lilies, but I wish I could be in the Lilies. So I'm cool. Just gonna pretend that I'm in the Lilies while
you're an official Lily now. You're on Cowbell. We'll put you on Cowbell.
Yes, put me on Cowbell. I'm on Cowbell.
No, I think isn't it really cool when like readers because I know with Real Men Knit, there were a lot of people who were like, I took up knitting, or you celebrated my passion, or like, you like, you know what I mean? And so like with this book, like, especially the first few weeks, I was getting like tagged in reels where people were like, I was in a band when I was in high school and I forgot how much joy that brought me, and you brought it back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
I love that.
It's just so amazing.
That's how this book feels. You get so immersed in it. It's like from the beginning, you just feel it, and it's just I get chills. I loved it so much. So don't thank me. Thank you for writing it.
Oh, I had the coolest thing. Speaking of like celebrity connections, so the very first song that the Lilies record is "I Burn." It's a cover of a Toadies song. The Toadies were like a early 2000s band. So last week I get this DM on Instagram from the manager of the Toadies, whose mom was reading the book and saw the mention of the band in the book and told her. And so she's like, oh my gosh, like what? So they've been like sharing the book on their social media.
That is the best.
So I have a feeling like Keanu is going to hear about this book, and like within the next week and a half.
Oh, please, if he could just hold it up or something.
He will be on Twitter with like his glasses on, sitting in a chair with a copy of your book in it. I'm putting it out in the universe. That's what's going to happen.
And then the
Toadies can find my book.
Later, you'll be. The author was taken away by him. Author found passed out.
I mean, if the Toadies can find my book, he can find yours.
To check on me, because I will be passed out on the floor. So you're saying I should go get one of those alert bracelets right now in case it happens?
Get a little smelling salts, whatever you need.
Yeah,
because it's gonna happen. I mean, if the Toadies can find my book and they're not even on the title, he's gonna find your book.
Listen, I'll take him. I mean, it's not a secret. Some of the things, I'll take Jason. I'll take, Chris. Any of them find the book. It's okay. I love
right. the random moments, because those moments where they run into the people like in a setting that's just a normal everyday setting, not like in a fan event. That, because I've done that, and it was so relatable. You're just like. Like there was a thing on Twitter last week. What? Yeah, we were talking about, someone said like, what's your most mundane celebrity encounter? Did you see that on Twitter last week? And people were like sharing. No. So one of mine is standing at a red light in Philly next to Viggo Mortensen. And he's silently praying that I don't call attention to him. And I'm standing there trying to figure out, do I like acknowledge that I know who he is, or do I not? And so we're there and it's like the full red light, because it had just changed. We're standing there. And finally, as the light was about to change, I looked at him, and he like put his finger up like
that.
That's
so Viggo Mortensen. He's
totally.
He's like saying nothing, so I don't have to kill you. It's
and
like
he's beautiful. He's absolutely stunning in person. And I just went, I really love your work. And he goes, thank you. And that was it. And it was like, I whispered it to him and he whispered it back. And then he just went on his way and I went on my way. But that's like those moments where you're just like, what would you do? And that's why I asked you, what would you do if you met Keanu? What do you do when you just
completely I would mess it up. Like I was going to say, I have this fantasy where, he finds out about it, and JB finds out that he's the inspiration for the other one. And we sort of have, I like to call them, since I've been married so long, we have enlightenment coffees is what I call them. And I will say nothing else further. We just have, because Keanu seems like he would have enlightenment coffees or tea, and that's what we do. But I would mess it up. I don't know. It's weird. In New York, you would think you run into more celebrities than you do.
Yeah.
But over my life, I haven't run into but so many. You see them at different spots. Like mine are not the most fun. I remember at one US Open way many years ago, Donald Trump sitting over our shoulder. It's like, It's like, is that Trump sitting over our shoulder? That's one. I remember, and there's a thing in the book. There's a Ben Stiller's in the book, so running past Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Going to work one day, and there was a definite encounter where he looked at me and I looked at him, and it was a funny encounter in my life.
Like the acknowledgement, like, I know you know who I am, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I did get a Zoolander look. I really did get a Zoolander.
Did he give you blue steel?
It was sort of yes, but it was weird, and I will never forget it. I was like, and I was like, and he was like. And it was so New York because it was like who had the right of way kind of situation because I was going to work. So
after my wedding, we went back to the hotel when I got married outside of Philly. We went back to the hotel and I'm in my gown. We're walking in the hotel and the Williams sisters are coming out.
Ah, cool.
And I stopped like, oh my God, it's the Williams sisters. And they stopped like, oh my God, you're a bride. And so they were like, oh, I was like, oh my God. I don't think we exchanged words. I don't think there were any words exchanged. It was just sort of like this, and then like we passed each other. But like, yeah.
That's super cool. that I would love. That's a cool one. My husband keeps thinking he sees famous people. He never does. He's always like, oh, that's such and such. It never is. I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, always go. We were at some red light somewhere, and he yells out, "That's Billy D. Williams!" And I look over. It's the most not Billy D. Williams person you ever saw in your life. Like, what are you talking about? He really thinks he never sees famous people. It's so funny.
Okay, if you could meet any celebrity other than Keanu, because we know Keanu, and I'm going to exclude BTS too because we know that you want to meet them, but any celebrity. Who would it be?
Somebody else is just like, I cannot. It's so hard. So hard. Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think, who's the celebrity that has most connections to celebrities right now?
Right?
I don't know. Oh, my goodness.
Question.
I do not know. This is hard. Other than Keanu. Right now, it's Keanu. Any other celebrity?
When you were growing up, you said you had Prince and Debbie
when I was
on your
growing
walls.
up, honestly, it was Prince, and it probably would still be Prince. It would always be Prince for me. I live. This is probably why I'm a writer. I live in my head. I live in this fantasy world, all the time. How did I make it to this age and raise two kids? Poor things, And there was the stories of Prince knocking on doors as a Jehovah's Witness, and he would probably be the only Jehovah's Witness I'd let in.
You'd let in.
Yes, please come in and talk to me, Prince. And so we didn't say dead or alive. It would probably always be Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Prince would always be the one. Like
I love it.
He was like my first. And probably my always,
Did you ever get to see him in concert?
I did. Prince was my first concert at 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I went to see where I remember hearing that Prince was going to be, where did we see Prince at? Was it Radio City or it might have been Radio City or somewhere. And he was going to be in concert. I begged my mother. They used to have like a ticket master out, not like online buy tickets at this outlet at the bus station. In Washington Heights, you could go buy tickets. So I begged my mother, can I go buy these tickets? And she's like, whatever. And went to buy tickets for my friend, myself, my mother, got tickets. And we were, I think it was Radio City. We were, I want to say just like 10 rows back.
Wow.
So close.
Wow.
Seeing him in concert. And I will never forget seeing him in concert and fake flowers falling from the sky down on me. That's why it's always been Prince for me.
Just stuck. Yeah, it's imprinted. Yeah.
It's imprinted. It's honestly imprinted.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a kid, I used to like with cassette tapes, listen to his music before bed. And it's just, So that's the person, which is probably why I'm read Harlequins at 10 or 11. And, probably a reason I'm a romance writer today. If you think of Prince lyrics and all of that. Yeah.
Now I'm so jealous. I never got to see him like his concert. He did a show in Philly. What was it? He had a protege named Tamar.
Mm-hmm.
And she toured, but the way that they billed it was Prince or Tamar featuring Prince.
Did he come?
He did. He played guitar for her. He was in her band, but it was all her songs. So all of it sold out in like 5 minutes because you see Prince on a billboard, right? So it sold out And I could tell like throughout the concert, people were getting really antsy because it was her and they were thinking she was like the opening act or something.
And they wanted him to sing.
They wanted him to. He did one song and I don't remember which one. It may have been Let's Go Crazy. And that was it. And then the rest of it was all her. And people were really not happy. They were not happy.
They just wanted him. But even to hear him play guitar is still just...
Oh, it was amazing. I loved it. But people were not happy. Yeah. They wanted a Prince concert. Yeah. Poor girl.
Oh, poor thing. Oh, she tried. I would take him in any kind of way. I think I saw him two or three times.
Wow.
But yeah, but he was my first one. But yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Just checking to see.
Well, we're about out of time. I was saying, now that you've made everyone here insanely jealous of your first concert experience.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't know what you say to that. I'm like, I'm jealous. Thank you. No.
How do you top Prince?
Right.
No wonder you went to live in your head after that. I mean, it makes sense. Anyway, we are at 9:00. I really could just sit and hang out with you all for another hour, but I'm mindful of the time and your time. And I want to say, first of all, to everybody who came tonight, thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah. This has been such a wonderful conversation. And Zio and Keanu, thank you so much for your time. Zio, it's so cool of you to show up for this and celebrate this.
Thank you.
To come celebrate
so much. Thank you for having me.
We are really looking forward to the next Lily's book coming out in March, right?
It's going to be later because I think everything's getting pushed, but it'll be next year. Yeah.
Coming out.
It'll be next year.
Sometime in 2022.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
We would be delighted to chat with you again at that point.
Yeah, I would love to.
And again, congratulations on.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank
you. Thank you for the gift of a really wonderful, fun read.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's fun. Really get excited. It, guys. It's really, really good. Really good.
Yes. And we have, I have to say, we have a few more copies in store. We also have Zio's book in store, and you can always order them through our website as well. Everybody hold up a book.
Yay. They look so good together.
They look so good together.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Good night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.